Another case study that I would like to show you is the work of my friend and colleague Giancarlo Mazzanti from Bogota. He's at a kindergarten called Provenir in the outskirts of Bogota. It's a very interesting intervention which was commissioned to him through a competition. In all of his work, he addresses the same problem of the social inclusion. In his projects, there is always the idea of expanding the limits of the architectural projects and creating accessibility from the neighborhood to this area. The Provenir Kindergarten is a tool for social inclusion in terms of its program and in terms of its project as form. In terms of the program, the building, it's a kindergarten during the day. You have kids with their small units and small rooms where they can play and study and sleep eventually. Then you have a larger space, which is the dining hall, where kids gather at lunchtime to play. And this dining hall and common space is used in the evenings as a community center. So in a way, the building is both a kindergarten, but also something that serves the community. It's very interesting how this strategy or this idea of combining the two uses has given the neighborhood a building with which they can identify them. Adults can go there in the evening and listen to concerts or have community meetings, and kids can go there during the day and spend the time with their friends and play with other kids of their age and study. In terms of architecture, the building has this very interesting idea of creating a boundary, which is a circle, that perfect circle that surrounds, or that's the fence around it, by which people can see from the outside in and from the inside out. So there is this sense of transparency. This allows kids to see what's happening around them in the neighborhood, but at the same time to be safe. And this allows people from the neighborhood to be able to see their kids at any time during the day when the kids are out in the playground playing and just spending time in the open. The units are all oriented in a different way. There are connectors, they are all 2 stories, and there are connectors between them, so there are corridors. This modularity allows the building to be made in phases. So instead of building everything at once, instead of building the whole building as one big piece, which for the economical conditions could be rather difficult, it's made by smaller units, which allows to build one unit and then start using it and then build the next one and then the next one and the next one. So grow it organically in time. So at some point, if the funding is not enough, the building would not be incomplete because it would already have parts or some of the units, and then the rest of the units can be built in better economic times or when there is strategic need for expansion. This strategy has proven very interesting, and Mazzanti has been able to explore it in different buildings in other kindergartens that he has built both in Bogota and in other places in Colombia, and also in other typologies of projects. For example, the Coliseos or the Colosseums in Medellin, where the building, it's actually a sports field, where the building is able to grow and to take additions according to the new needs and according to the decisions that are done by the municipality afterwards. This idea of modularity, transparency, the passage from a diagram to a built form, it's something very unique that we can learn from him, and that is a lesson that we can take from Latin America and apply to the rest of the world. In a way, Latin America is a very interesting case study, and there is a lot that we can get from there in terms of these social interventions, in terms of the ability of architecture to transform society. In that case and in that scale, it's rather noticeable. We can see how these specific interventions, almost as urban acupuncture, have been able to influence and improve the life of people in their neighborhoods. These same interventions have been applied in other places like, for example, Caracas, where the urban think tank has built gyms and schools. They have been applied in Brazil, where the city has also developed community centers in the favelas, or some other interventions even in India, which is a completely different cultural scene, and it's a completely different scale, but still this problematic still exists. I invite you to look further into examples like this and to identify study projects that in your city or in other cities that have this social ambition, this social goal, and that have really an enormous impact to the life of the people that use them.